All right. Hi, Sydney.
Hello.
How are you? We are live recording. I am here. I'm here at my shop, and I changed kind of positions just because, why not? I have a little space here, so I moved a little bit. And you are coming to us from Nashville.
Nashville. Yeah.
I love Nashville. Such a good city.
It's awesome. I've lived here for like 10 years now, and I can't say enough good things about it. You've got like the farm area outside of the downtown, but then you've also still got your city aspect and all the fun things that come with that. So it's a great balance. I really like
Perfect.
it.
I will tell you, really, excuse me. First of all, you know what? I need to do a little bit of housekeeping. So I'm Megan. I think, Megan Holmes. I'm here at STL Needlepoint, the Needlepoint Clubhouse in St. Louis. And of course, this podcast is like a joint venture with my friend Melissa McLeod from The Wool and the Floss, and she's up in Michigan. And we have gotten some traction with this, but we want to just shout out to everybody and say, if you're watching and if you're enjoying this series, please go and hit subscribe on YouTube. So what we're trying to do, so this is all going to be, we kind of are advertising on Instagram, but we're all YouTube based. And so what we're trying to do is get a good group of subscribers, because it'll just help us get more traction. So if you're watching, please subscribe. All it will do is give you an email to let you know when we post our videos. So anyway, there's that little piece of housekeeping. And then I will say, so this is Sydney Deaver.
Yeah, Deaver. Got it right.
Got it. And of Eva Howard Designs.
Yeah.
First, tell us, where did Eva Howard come from?
It was actually my this is going to sound so silly, but my great grandmother's name is Ava Howard.
Oh, is that how you say it? Ava, not Eva? I'm sorry.
I do, but so I shot myself in the foot when I was putting together kind of the branding for the store, because I was like looking at the monograms and emblems, and I was like, A and H kind of look funky together. E and H are such a cleaner look. I'll go with E. And then I was like, what were you thinking? But it was too late. So now it's Eva Howard, Ava Howard, however you want to say it. I'll respond to it. But yeah, it was named after my great-grandmother. She was.
Your great-grandmother was Ava Howard? That was her name?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was her maiden name.
Was the inspiration with her that she was a needle pointer? Or you just...
Yeah, so her and my other great-grandmother Josephine, was an avid needle pointer, crewel, knitting, anything with her hands, you name it, she did it. But then Ava was really elegant and really focused on like the details of things. She used to keep like a little call book by her phone as she got older, and she'd write down the last thing that she talked to you about, so that when you called, even though her mind was gone, she'd know to ask, oh, how's the dog? How's your child? How's this, that, and the other?
Oh, that's so special.
Yeah, so I always respected the way in which she went about things like that, and I kind of wanted it to be part of the business. So that's why when you get an order, it has like a thank you note, and I try to make them personal from me to whoever. And then also the design's really part of Josephine as well. So it's kind of a ode to both my great-grandmas. That's
really special. And I think that a lot of people have that kind of family background with needlepoint. So that's really cool that that's how you sort of started your business. So who taught you to stitch? How did you get involved? And I'm assuming that you're a stitcher as well as a designer.
Yes, I am. I do love to stitch. Honestly, it was like a combination. My dad taught me to knit, which got me into crafting, which is awesome. I don't know how that happened, and then my Aunt Sharon taught me how to needlepoint. She learned from my great-grandmother Josephine. And every year we go to the Smoky Mountains for Thanksgiving, so we just kind of unplug and do crafts. And she had brought her needlepoint, and I was like, "What is this? I have to learn." And then like the next day I went to Nashville Needleworks when we got back, and I was like, give me everything you can. And I started with the belt, and it's just been ever since.
I love that. Well, I have to give a quick shout out. Connie Camp is a wonderful woman, and the owner of Nashville Needleworks. She comes here to teach. Well, in a normal year, she would come here to teach. We'll see what happens. But great that's your local needlepoint shop.
It is, and I'm so fortunate because like you said, I think someone one time told me she has a PhD in needlepoint, like joking around, but it's true. She's brilliant. The work that she does is just beyond
And
And she
kind
runs
and smart, and she's wonderful. So you're very lucky to have that resource. So I will say a quick shout out to Connie if you're in.
Shout out to Connie.
Yeah, she's wonderful. So that's great. That's very cool. So so you got to stitching, and how long ago was that?
Oh, that was only like 2-3 years ago.
Okay. So then you start stitching and you say, I think I could design these things, or how does that kind of?
So I started stitching and I did one project and then I just stopped. And it wasn't until I started working in Florida full time and I was flying so much that I ended up picking it back up again, because I have really bad flight anxiety. And so I'd be on the plane during hurricane season and it's bumpy. And I needed something to kind of take my mind off of it. And needlepoint's like meditating. So that's kind of where I started. And then I was like, I need more canvases and I kind of want them to be what I want to stitch. And I just kind of started thinking maybe this is something that I could paint, but I didn't really know how to start at all.
Sure. Well, so first of all, do you have any official training in art, or is that just something that you're like painting?
Yeah. I took art classes all through high school, took AP art, wanted to be an art minor in college actually, but they didn't allow business students, because of business marketing, with art. So it's just a lot of self-taught stuff. But my aunt is actually a professional painter. So I've just had a lot of like
The
family
same
different aunt. I've got some crafty aunts in the family.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah. We've got some very crafty ladies in the Deaver household. So
I like that.
She taught me.
So, it's funny. I don't know if you can shed any light on this, but I get a lot of questions from people. In fact, I have something sitting in my inbox right now on Instagram saying, I'm interested in painting. I don't know how to start. And frankly, I'm the worst person. I don't paint this. I don't know much about it. And so what I was going to do is kind of point her to, I know Abigail Cecile. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she has a kind of a how-to video out there. But can you give us a little bit of maybe background, or maybe a suggestion for people who are like, how did you get going, or maybe a suggestion of those?
Yeah. Abigail Cecile is a great resource. Her YouTube video on how to paint for beginners is great. I wish I had that when I was starting. I probably would have gone through a lot less of canvas.
Sure.
Connie told me, and this is, I think, some of the best advice I got. And she was like, don't paint anything that you yourself don't want to stitch. Meaning, painting is a labor of love. It takes an extreme amount of time. It's nowhere near painting like an actual art canvas, because it's not done by strokes. It's done by lines and dots and numbers almost. So when you're really thinking about that, when you get to the end of it and you've finished painting something, make sure it's something that you absolutely love and are obsessed with. And if you had to stitch it 15 times, you could. And then
you'll paint it 15 times possibly. So
yeah. So I think that would be my biggest tip, is don't paint anything that you wouldn't love to stitch yourself after.
Do you feel like some of it is sort of trial and error too, learning what brush works best for you, what consistency of paint works best for you?
Yeah, and it's opposite of everything you think with like actual painting. Actual painting, you need like kind of a medium-sized brush based on the type of paint. Here it's like you need a really, really tiny brush. It's not based on paint, it's based on durability of the canvas. And then also the type of paint you use. Golden paint is, I believe, the industry standard for needlepoint canvases.
Could be.
It's a bit more pricey. It's a professional paint. But you can definitely use other paints as well. But golden doesn't run, or it won't mess up the thread if you stitch with it and the colors combine.
Interesting. That's good advice. Well, I hope you don't mind me kind of launching into this, but I did ask you if there was anything you didn't want me to ask.
Yeah, go for it.
So this canvas, and I know it's backwards, I suspect that this was one of your first.
It is.
The one that introduced me to you, I thought this, first of all, I love gingham. But second of all, I thought this was the most clever, hilarious thing I'd ever seen. But I want to share a little tiny story that you and I have together that you may or may not remember, which is right when we got this canvas, one of my employees started stitching it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Megan, I'm really struggling because some of these letters they're a little off. They're not like quite stitch painted, and I've had to redo it. And so I said, well,
let's do it.
Rather new painter, so maybe I'll just reach out to her. And I was really nervous to do it because it's really none of my business how, but I remember emailing you and just saying, hey, I just want to tell you that I have an employee who's stitching this, and I just want you to know she's kind of struggling with some of the letters. And again, I'm kind of like feeling like even weird about saying,
no, right? Not at all.
But, and I remember you emailing right away and saying, tell me more, tell me why she's struggling with it. Tell me, what is off, give me more specific information. And I respected you so much for that, because I feel like it's such a labor of love. You put your heart into this, and then somebody is critical of it. And again, it was positive criticism, but it's a learning curve for sure. And
100%. And I think that there's two separate things with painting that I didn't realize getting into it. There's people who paint to the exact stitch and number, and there are people that paint just in strokes, right? And you'll see it on, I forget the name of the designer that does the really beautiful stockings.
Oh, like Liz?
Oh my gosh.
Liz or
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like artwork. Or like
artwork
stockings. I mean, these are like portraits that they're translating to.
Yeah, and you have to infer how it should be stitched to some degree, because it's not to the exact thing. And when I started out, I was blending the two styles 100%.
Sure.
My lettering was more of a stroke. My detail was more of an exact, and I didn't realize it till I got in. And it was actually your feedback. I've tweaked a ton of designs moving forward based on that, because if I hadn't had your feedback, I wouldn't have had a clue.
Yeah. And I think, I appreciate you saying that, because I think you are appealing to a a relatively young audience with some of your cheeky things, with some of your welcome to adulthood, that's like the 30 something. So a lot of those stitchers are rather new stitchers. So I think it can be very frustrating, because we're teaching them to stitch by the intersection.
Exact.
And so then if they get into it, so I've been stitching for like 8 years now, so I can kind of understand. And again, the woman who was stitching this is a pretty talented stitcher, but she was trying to basket weave and stitch each individual letter. I think it can be frustrating. And so anyway, I'm just really, I wanted to bring that up, and I meant to ask you that before we talked, but I appreciate your candidness about that. It was a cool, and again, for a new painter, I think that that's an important piece of information, is like, there's a lot to this, and I also think that it's an expensive hobby. And so there's this expectation that if I'm going to buy an expensive canvas, it better be for me to stitch, and
100%.
Yeah.
That's why feedback's so imperative. And I think it's super important that the customers are able to have that kind of feedback, because if someone gets a canvas of mine that they don't absolutely love, tell me, I'll send you another one with a heartbeat. Like, I know the labor that goes into stitching these, because I stitch myself. So if you don't love it, stop, send me an email, I'll fix it for you. Let's get you something you love, because it truly is labor.
That's a sweet sentiment, because the last thing we want is for anybody to get frustrated and leave this art, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about, so you started painting canvases. This, of course, the Jingle All the Way. I mean, this is in my stash. I love this. I will stitch it one day. It's one of my favorites. So you had a couple of ideas. You sort of put it out there. Meanwhile, hold on. I'm going to interrupt myself. You have a full-time job.
I do.
And so you start painting. And so tell us kind of, what do you do day to day? It's not painting. It's not designing needlepoint canvases. So
well, my full-time job is I'm the marketing director at a pharmacy acquisitions group. They own a couple, like, I think we're in our 20th pharmacy right now. And I do all their marketing.
This is a big job, people. Let's just say this is a big this is not
yeah, it's a big job. I actually just started it in March. So it's a new job too. I started in
the side. I mean, my goodness. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So I started this job in March, and before I was working for my family business. And I think I mentioned I was flying back and forth from Florida. And I mean, I'm I consider myself a Nashvilleian. I live in Nashville. All my friends are in Nashville. So when I started doing that, I had so much alone time at night because my friends during the week weren't there. And it's hard to make friends in a new place when you're only there like 2-3 days a week. So I started painting at night, and I did the jingle canvas, and I posted a photo of it, just like having fun. And it kind of, somebody was like, where do I buy this? And I was like, buy it. I don't know. I was like, I'm painting one, friend. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll paint you when I've got nothing else to do right now. And
Sure,
like,
sure.
I'll pay you for it. And I was like, is this a thing? Like, do people do this? And so I made a Shopify account and just, made a million mistakes. I didn't know anything that I was doing. Lord knows that you have to pay sales tax in every single state with e-commerce. That's a whole thing itself that I figured out. But yeah, no, I just started designing and posting on Instagram, and that's really how I started selling things. And I just went based on feedback that people gave me of stuff they liked, and I took that advice from Connie, which is don't paint anything you don't love.
Well, speaking of that, I then reached out to you and I said, I have this idea. Sure, I love this. I love it. But so then I don't know if you've all seen this, but Gingham is a Neutral I love this canvas so much. And it was like, hey, would you mind doing this? And she's like, sure. And we went through fonts, and now this thing has kind of become like my flying my flag here at my shop. But
yeah.
So again, I was one of those people that was like, I really like what you're doing. Your designs are great. I have this idea. And you were like, sure. But at a certain point, my guess is that the scales sort of tipped and you were like, I can't do all this myself. So then you sort of probably started looking into painting services, would be my guess.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned from the industry that's really hush hush, that I don't really understand why or what it is. Maybe because it's kind of the competitive advantage that a lot of the designers have is who they use, which that's totally fine. Not a problem at all. But yeah, no, there's no way, unless you have a couple dozen friends that love to paint too. One person, yeah, could paint. Because I'll paint one design and have it replicated, and that one design will take me 6 to 8 hours minimum. Yeah. So to do that for every canvas is impossible. So I normally paint a master design, and then I use my replicating company to help kind of build out things. So that's why it's important, if anything's ever wrong, that I know, because I don't want to have it replicated 50, 60
the master
times.
That's right.
Yeah, I've got to go tweak the master if it's wrong.
Well, and I also think, I had another question. So we get a lot of emails and questions and things. And in fact, I've been remiss. I should have had people ask questions specific to you. When we did it on Instagram Live, we had all this interaction. But anyway, I had a question about how on earth do these designers make a living or make money doing this? And I think it's fair to say that if it weren't for these replication services,
we wouldn't make money.
But there'd be no way, because like you just said, it takes you 6 to 8 hours. These replication services have trained these people to work quickly and efficiently, but there'd be no way to make any money unless you had that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's normally like there's a team of I think I use this group, they're nuns in the Philippines. It funds their convent. So I feel better about that it's going to a bit of a good cause. I'm religious, so I appreciate that. And there's 40, 50 people, and they all work together on the design. So to do it, to have that kind of help it's unparalleled. And to be completely honest, we would not be able to make any money at all if we didn't have that help.
Right. So. That's right. Well, yeah. So I'm sorry, I kind of digressed, but so the point is, you designs, you found a painting service, you're kind of doing your full-time job, you've got this going, and now we have moved into, this is a good old favorite. You've got, I only have a few sitting here with me. This guy.
Yeah.
So
I love my original designs, and I think that a lot of them came when I had so much time on my hands to just concept. And unfortunately, I haven't had as much time, so I haven't had as many new designs out. That's definitely one of my goals for the fall, is to lock myself in a dark room.
So what is inspiring you? So the inspiration behind these were obviously things that you kind of just thought were funny or you wanted to stitch yourself. This obviously I forced on you. So for example, how did this guy become kind of part of your group?
Yeah, each of them is different. The jingle one, I really wanted something cute to decorate my place for Christmas. And it was what I was going to put on my couch during the holidays. And then I ended up framing it. The Good Lord Willin' is something that my mom says all the time, and I felt like she needed a pillow or a framed piece in her house just saying that, because it's just like a family saying.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then the polar bear, I don't even know. I think I was watching the new Planet Earth documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Planet Earth 2 that came out, and I don't know, I was just learning about polar bears, and for some reason I was like, that is the coolest animal. So underrated. There's just so much going on there in the Arctic that I was like, I just want to paint a polar bear. And I did. And I was like, it'll be cute in the Christmas series. There we go.
That's for sure. And you know what's extra special about this? We are drawn to polar bears here in St. Louis because we have a polar bear at the zoo called Kali. And so we love our polar bear here at the St. Louis Zoo. So that's kind of why I picked this guy up. But so it's funny because different things resonate with different people. And I'm sure you're finding that once it's, like you said, concepted here and then it's out there and then other people pick it up for different reasons. So
and it always blows my mind, like when people will message me and they'll be like, I think of it and I'm like, I painted this because I watched Planet Earth, and somebody else is going to have watched it and pick it up. And it's like, no, my son loves polar bears, and we're reading polar bear books, and I'm stitching this for Christmas to put on the tree as like a memory. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
oh,
break my heart.
Yeah, that's really neat. So you said you've got some designs coming out in the fall, or you've been thinking, or so what you got going? You want to share anything?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a couple of different design ideas. I think I've had a couple of things in my notebook that I write things down before I forget. One of them I cannot say just yet.
Okay.
The other one is going to be, obviously I'm going to expand the sayings. I have my collection of welcome to adulthood, we hope you like blank. I really want to do some football ones. I have a local needlepoint shop in Knoxville that's about to open that they want to do some stuff around the UT volunteers, but not specific to that, just around football season and stuff like that. So you'll probably see some football season stuff, because we love our football down in the South.
Hopefully we can get there this year,
I know. I'm like, oh, might have to read all of my concepting. And then I just launched this little keychain geometric pattern.
Cute.
And then we also launched a loop.
You're picturing that to be a loop, right?
Yeah, it should be a loop.
Cute.
If I did it right.
Yeah.
I haven't done the binding stitch on it. So just something a little short and cute.
So here's a pro tip. You don't have to binding stitch if you send it to us. You just need some turn rows.
Just gonna toss that over to you. I don't have time to do that.
It's so funny because in the South, everybody loves the binding stitch. I think it has something to do with the leather workers down there and the bridal work that they do, but we are finisher and we do turn rows. So you just need a couple of extra rows on either way and we just flip it over the leather. So I can't stand the binding stitch personally. I'd rather just stitch away on some tent stitches. So, but anyway.
Yeah. No,
I'll just set that
up. Going y'all's way then, because Lord knows I don't like a binding stitch because I don't like to stitch it myself.
Right.
So right. This is coming to y'all.
Yeah, sounds good. And then I was just going to, sorry, I just got distracted. There is a man in a golf cart out my window. We're on a pretty busy thoroughfare, but anyway, lost my train of thought. So, so you're working on the key fob. You've got some ideas for football for the fall. Anything? I don't happen to have any of those adulthood canvases. But those are very clever too. And the board.
Oh yeah, I should have grabbed some. But the other thing that we just launched is our leopard sunglass case. And then I'm also, I haven't posted this yet, but we're doing really large leopard pillow prints. Because I just personally want a giant leopard pillow on my bed. So I made it. yeah, so I designed it, and it's not on our website yet. No one knows about it yet.
Ooh,
So
you heard it here first. And you know what I'll say? Some of the leopard things that we have stitched, we like to stitch them in velvet. I don't know if you've stitched it yet, but velvet is kind of a fun textural way to kind of bring leopard to life.
So much.
That's actually, pardon me, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I love that very velvet feel, and it raises the spots a bit, so it looks like it has more depth and realistic. 100% agree.
Yeah. So the other design that's really cute that I see all over Instagram is the one that I believe is an exclusive with Lysette, which is the no tan lines. Isn't that one?
Oh yeah.
Cute one too.
Yeah, that was her idea. She came up with that, and then we used I have another canvas called Rich Girl. It's a quote from Big Little Lies, and we used kind of the font pairings there from that, but she was like, Palm Beach, she's in Florida, and her customers just needed a beach bag, and I'm actually going to stitch it, I think, and turn it into I want to do the inside in kind of like a plastic lining, like a plastic lined fabric to some degree, and use it for suntan lotion.
Cute.
And stuff like that.
So maybe a vinyl lining or something.
Yeah. I haven't figured that out yet.
Well, yeah, we can go in. Finishing is a whole different beast in and of itself. We've had a lot of inquiries about that vinyl lined, and yeah, it's a separate deal. But I do think having a waterproof lining would be a great idea. Really cute. Yeah. So I always ask this because I think it's fun. What is your favorite of all of your designs?
Oh my gosh.
I know it's so hard. It's like asking who's your favorite kid, but it's okay.
I think the one that I'm most proud of is the jingle canvas, just because it was the first, and it was, I don't know, I feel like it's just like my personality in a canvas. But I think that my favorite is the leopard sunglass case we just launched.
I can't picture that. I guess I need to. I
just posted it like a couple days ago.
Okay.
And the only reason that's my favorite is because I concepted it. My sister got engaged and married recently, and the whole time all that was going on, I was just, like, trying to stitch it. So there's just a lot of good memories.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's your least favorite?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. I'm trying to think.
Probably the one that I asked you to do that you didn't care about.
No. Honestly, I did a cowboy boot design that I was like, this is so cool. And then I ended up pulling it because I was like, this is not cool. And I did that like when I first started. If you go to like the beginning of my Instagram page, it's like one of the second or third posts. And I thought it was awesome. And I used like a bunch of like really dark scrap thread, and it's not a fan. I'm not a fan anymore. It went.
So aside from that, what's the worst seller? Which canvas do you have out there that you're like, God, I love this, but it just doesn't sell?
I was actually talking to my parents about this the other day, and it's so strange, but it fluctuates. Like, I did that tequila canvas. It says like 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor. I painted that. Like, that was like the second or third design I ever did. I couldn't sell those to save my life. But then I think Carly, the prepster, she has like that. She loved it. She featured it, and it blew up. And I've sold out the last like 3 months. So it's so strange how the industry ebbs and flows, because I've had that happen multiple times where it's like something that I thought was going to be, I'd sell 1, I sell 50. If what's something I think is going to be the best thing since sliced bread, I sell 1 for the first 6 months, and then all of a sudden I can't keep it in stock. So it's weird. I don't know.
Well,
but that tequila canvas was a hard one.
I think what you're alluding to, though, is the power of social media. I mean, I feel it. Somebody puts something out there, it's kind of amazing. We kind of had a joke for a little while in here. I'd be like, okay, guys, I'm going to post this on Instagram. So if we get a call, just be ready, whatever. And it became such that it was like, we would guess how long it took for somebody to advise. It's incredible. It has made my business, I will say. So
yeah. And it's so funny, the needlepoint industry, there's such a demand for content. I mean, marketing professional, obviously I work in the space all the time, and so interesting because a lot of the shops like know the power and know that it's important, but they don't really get to experience it firsthand until they start regularly posting and gain that following.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, you know, you built your business around it. I would love to just like see more shops get onto Instagram and stuff. I think they'd really see the perks and benefits of it.
I agree. It's tough. It's tough. I will say,
So tough.
Just managing the communication is tough, and you feel like a big jerk. You've got like DMs sitting there, you know, and it's like, oh, but I've got stuff going on in the shop and whatever. But it's and I'm sure you feel the same way. People suggesting things or asking questions, and you're like, I just can't get to this because guess what? I also have a full-time job.
Yeah.
But I think, as you kind of just said, the benefits outweigh the whatever you want to call it, the bad stuff. So
yeah, content creation's hard too. It's like it takes a long time to take a picture and crop it the way you want it and get it all uploaded, and then you got to manage the response from it. So I feel you.
It's not easy, but it's okay because that's an awesome community around Instagram. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that's how I met you. I mean, in fact, I know it is because of Jingle.
Yeah.
So I think I've asked you all of the kind of like typical questions that we usually ask designers. Favorite, you told us about your upcoming stuff. Is there anything I haven't asked you about that you'd like to share with us?
I think that's it. I'm stitching. I'll show you a couple things I'm stitching right now.
I'd love to see that. Sure.
I'm stitching this better. I don't know if you can see it because it says Better Together.
Oh, Thorn Alexander. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a Thorn Alexander. This is my first Thorn Alexander, and I love it.
She's a powerhouse in the Instagram world too. That's for sure.
She's incredible, and I just, you know, when you get our canvas, it says this canvas planted a tree. I mean, I'm gonna buy like 20 of these if I'm helping planting trees. Like, come on, she's awesome.
She is.
And then I'm trying to get this done. Hopefully my sister's not watching this. If you are, Claire, turn away.
Her name is Claire. I love it. Yes.
Wedding cake that
JCB.
Mm-hmm. JCB did a custom for me. She does them for any wedding event stuff, and it has the wedding date on it, which is so sweet. So I'm stitching this as like a first Christmas ornament.
We finished a lot of those. Some people do like beads along the edges or French knots on the top for the flowers and things. It's a beautiful canvas. It's a nice design. It's a good idea.
I love that idea. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. I need to learn. I don't know how to do a French knot yet. I've got to teach myself how to do that.
If I don't know if Connie's shop's open, but she could teach you how to French knot in a hot minute.
I know. It's easy. It's just I got to do it.
Well, and I will say this too, and not to call you out, but it appears that you're not a stretcher bar kind of girl.
I'm not.
And I will say that using stretcher bars, particularly for French knots or any of those like specialty designs, it's kind of easier because you can get it to like sit and then you can use both hands.
Yeah, that's what I should do.
Some people have mastered the French knot with one hand, but I can't.
I'm going to need both hands. And I honestly didn't use stretcher bars because I couldn't get them on the plane. They were hard to keep in my purse, but now that I'm not traveling anymore, I should honestly go back to that because it's so beneficial, especially with finishing. Pay less, right? Because you don't have to have
100%. 100%. Yeah. We're pretty laid back around here. I probably work like, I don't know, 80% on bars and 20% off just because of trying to do different stitches and stuff like that. But there are benefits, but I always just say it's an art, do what you like.
Yeah, whatever's fun.
But I will say, trying to do French knots, it might be helpful.
I gotta get on that train. This one's gotta make it to the deadline. What is the finishing deadline? I should ask you that this year. I don't know.
Well, it's been, and I will tell you, it all depends on the shop. August 1st, what's today, today's 17th. So August 1st is our official deadline for Christmas delivery. We are fortunate enough to have a few finishers who work on specific things that we finish. So I have a finisher who does just round ornaments. So her deadline is September 1st. And then again, we have a finisher that does just pillows, a finisher that does just stockings. So those we're going to take up through the end of November, pillows and stockings. And then belts, of course, are end of November, beginning December, because we have a belt finisher right here in town. But yeah, for the most part, I will say I hate to say it, but I know a lot of shops are struggling with this, and we've probably reached the deadline for a lot of shops. We're closing in on ours, and it's just because we can't manage the volume. It's hard. So,
yeah. And the needlepoint industry,
let me know.
Yeah.
Happy to help put you in touch with somebody to learn. I'm sorry I interrupted you. What were you going to say about the needlepoint industry?
It's just exploded, and I think that a lot of us shop owners, designers, you name it, we're all feeling it in different ways and trying to keep up with it because we all see it growing and we're so excited to share it with everyone, but to some degree it's like, wait a minute, we need a breath.
Yeah, same with all the designers, and that's why I love doing this podcast because you know, there are so many pop-up designers right now on Instagram, and I really kind of try really hard to keep up with what's going on, but everybody's kind of not everybody, so many different designers have sprouted, and that's why I'm like, wait, that's your design, right? Because I'm trying so hard to be respectful of whose designs are what, but there's just so many, which is awesome. But anyway, so how many designs do you have now in your collection? Would you say, is there?
I think I'm in my 30s now.
Okay.
At this point, yeah. So that's really exciting. I was hoping to go to the needlepoint show in Orlando in March, but I mean, I think we're ebbing and flowing with this COVID. So
I was hoping to go to that show too. I was hoping to go to Dallas in the fall. I don't think that's gonna happen, but you know what? We're gonna get through it. Thank God for technology. You know, I'm trying so hard to see the silver linings. I know, like you are, because we would have never started this podcast had it not been for
absolutely
quarantine and technology and all of those things. So, you know, I think we're gonna
all adapting.
We're gonna get through it. So
yeah, I agree.
It has been a real pleasure to talk to you, and I know that everyone's really just going to enjoy hearing a lot about your work and how you got into all of this. And thank you for your time. And keep on keeping on, because we're loving your designs.
Well, thank you so much. I love chatting with you and finally getting to face with the name and all that good stuff.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, exactly. We had been talking via email, but had never had the chance to meet in person. So this is really cool. Well, if anybody's watching, if you have any questions for Sydney, she's got an Instagram account. She's got her email address is linked. And so I'm sure she'd be happy to answer anything that we didn't answer today. So anyway, thanks so much. We'll talk to you.